39. After David's conquest of Edom, Joab remained there for 6 months in an effort to destroy every male among them. 2 Sa 8. 13, 14. 1 K 11. 14-17 Later, Joab manifested military leadership in the fight with the Ammonites and Syrians, putting his brother Abishai in charge of one division, to defeat a pincer movement of the enemy forces. 2 Sa 10. 8-14. 1 Ch 19. 6-16 He doubtless played a large part in the other battles fought by David against the Philistines, the Moabites, and others. Supports David's kingship. At the siege of Rabbah of Ammon, Joab appeared to evince loyalty to David as Jehovah's anointed king. He took the city of waters, possibly meaning that part of the city containing its water supply or the fort protecting its water supply. With this vital part of the city taken, the capital city could not hold out much longer, and surrender would be inevitable. Instead of pressing the siege of the city to a successful climax by himself, Joab, whether actually out of respect for the king, o textoi acute miritra longo, Joab 79 3 years for slaying his half-brother Amnon, sent a woman from Tekoa to David, putting words in her mouth to appeal for Absalom's return. The appeal was successful, and Joab brought Absalom back to Jerusalem, though David would not see Absalom. 2 years later Absalom repeatedly requested Joab to come and approach the king in his behalf, but Joab declined. Finally Absalom resorted to the device of setting Joab's barley field afire, which brought a quick and angry response from Joab. Absalom was then able to give the reason for his act, and he induced Joab to see the king to bring about restoration of Absalom to David's favor. 2 Sa 13. 38. 14. 1-33. Though Joab supported Absalom's cause in achieving his return, when Absalom rebelled, Joab supported David. David placed Joab in charge of a third part of his men, with strict orders to deal gently with Absalom. But during the fight Joab disobeyed David's order and killed Absalom. 2 Sa 18. 1-17 Here, as in some other cases, he put his own judgment ahead of theocratic orders through God's anointed king. But he had the courage to speak in a bold, direct manner to David afterward, when David's mourning for Absalom endangered the unity of the kingdom. 2 Sa 19. 1-8. Removed, then reinstated, as army chief. Evidently because of Joab's disobedience in the killing of Absalom, David replaced Joab as chief of the army, appointing Amasa. 2 Sa 19. 13 Amasa, however, did not prove to be the general that Joab had been. When commanded by David to call the men of Judah together to fight the rebel Sheba the son of Bichri, Amasa called Judah, but he came later than the time appointed by David. Because the matter was urgent, David commissioned Abishai to go after Sheba, saying, that he may not actually find for himself fortified cities and escape before our eyes. In the ensuing fight, Joab appears to have taken the lead as he had done when army chief. At the siege of Abel of Beth-Maachah that followed, the citizens of the town threw Sheba's head over the wall at Joab's bidding, and Joab spared the city, withdrawing and returning to Jerusalem. 2 Sa 20. 1-7, 14-22. Murders Amasa. During the pursuit of Sheba, Joab committed a grave crime. As Amasa, who was his cousin. 2 Sa 17. 25. 1 Ch 2. 16, 17 came to meet him near the great stone in Gibeon. Joab let his sword fall out of its sheath. Picking it up, he held it conveniently in his left hand as he took hold of Amasa's beard with his right hand, as if to kiss him. Because Amasa was off guard, Joab was able to kill him with one thrust of his sword. It is true that Joab may have had some distrust of Amasa, because he had headed Absalom's rebellious army. But be that as it may, Joab, the opportunist, seized on a time of emergency and strived to advance his personal career by murdering his rival. David may have deferred action against Joab because of Amasa's recent connections with Absalom and the fact that Joab had only recently fought the rebel forces of Absalom under Amasa's leadership. According to Joab's ambitious wishes, he was again made head of the army. 2 Sa 20. 8-13, 23. Why did David fail to execute Joab when he murdered Abner, and why did he reappoint Joab as general over the army after he had also murdered Amasa, who has been made general to replace Joab? The Bible does not say. If it was weakness in enforcing God's law, it may have been because of the strength and influence of Joab and his family in the army. Or there may have been other circumstances that the Bible does not relate. At any rate, it must be remembered that David, though not executing Joab for some reason, whether good or bad, did not forgive him, but he charged Solomon his son and successor to see that Joab paid for his badness. Takes incomplete census. At another time David was incited by Satan to take an illegal census of the people. Joab remonstrated with David, to no avail. But he did not complete the work, o textui acute miritra longo. Joah 80. The 60th Psalm, the Psalm of David, is devoted, in its latter verses 8-12, to Joab's victory over the Edomites. See the superscription of this psalm. 3. The head of a family of sons of Pahath-Moab, some of whom returned in 537 BCE from Babylonian exile, with Zerubbabel. As 2. 1, 2, 6. NE 7. 6, 7, 11. 4. At Ezra 1, 9, sons of Joab are listed among those returning with Ezra in 468 BCE. At that time Obadiah the son of Jehiel was family head. In this text they are not connected with the house of Pahath-Moab, but it is possible that they are of the same family or were related to No. 3. Jehovah is brother companion. 1. One of the Levitical gatekeepers assigned in David's day to guard duty over the storehouses. The third son of Obed-Edom. 1 Ch 26. 1, 4, 12-15. 2. A Levite descended from Gershon, son of Zimah. 1 Ch 6. 1, 19b-21. He is possibly the same Joah who, with his son, helped dispose of the unclean objects that Hezekiah had removed from the temple at the beginning of his reign. 2 Ch 29. 1, 3, 12, 16. 3. One of the committee of 3 sent by King Hezekiah to hear what the Assyrian messenger Rabshakeh would say, but he were not to answer his charges and brags. Joah and his 2 companions did, however, ask Rabshakeh to speak to them in the Syrian tongue, which they themselves understood, rather than in the Jews' language in the hearing of others on the city wall. With their clothes ripped apart, they reported his threats to Hezekiah. 2 Chi 18. 18, 26, 36, 37. Issa 36. 3, 11, 21, 22. The construction of the text, Joah the son of Asaph the recorder, allows for either Joah or Asaph to be the recorder, but it is more likely that Joah himself held this office, just as the 2 with him are also described by their office. 4. The recorder by whom King Josiah sent money to the workers to repair the temple. Son of Joahaz. 2 Ch 34. 8-11. Joahaz. Joah middle dot has shortened form of Joahaz, meaning may Jehovah take hold. Jehovah has taken hold. 1. Variant spelling of the name of Joahaz, king of Israel, as found in certain translations as J.P. Ro. R.S. of 2 Kings 14. 1. There the Masoretic text reads Yo middle dot a middle dot Chaz, but on the authority of Hebrew manuscripts that read Eho middle dot a middle dot Chaz, other translations at J.B. Mo. N.W. render the name Joahaz. See Joahaz No. 2. 2. Father of King Josiah's recorder Joah. 2 Ch 34. 1, 8. 3. Variant spelling, a 2 Chronicles 36. 2. Of the name of Joahaz, the son and successor of Josiah, king of Judah. Here certain translations as, at, J.P. Ro follow the Masoretic text and read Joahaz, whereas others K.J., J.B., Mo, N.W. read Joahaz. See Joahaz No. 3. Johanan Jo middle dot an unshortened form of Johanan, meaning Jehovah has shown favor. Jehovah has been gracious. An ancestor of Jesus' mother Mary. Listed apparently as grandson of Zerubbabel. Luke 3. 23, 27. Joanna Jo middle dot an now shortened feminine form of Johanan, meaning Jehovah has shown favor. Jehovah has been gracious. one of several women whom Jesus Christ cured of infirmities and who then became his followers, ministering to him and his apostles from their own possessions. Lu 8. 1-3 Joanna was apparently with the women present at Jesus' impalement. Having prepared spices and oil to take to his tomb, these women were among the first to find that he has been resurrected. The 11 apostles, however, found their report difficult to believe. Lu 23. 49, 55, 56. 24. 1-11 Joanna's husband Chuza was steward of Herod Antipas. Lu 8. 3. Joash. This name is spelled two ways in Hebrew, though only as Josh in English. The first and more common, Ash, is a shortened form of Jehosh. Numbers 1 and 5 listed below are the other spelling, Ash. 1. A Benjamite in the family line of Becca. 1ch7. 6, 8. 2. A descendant of Judah through his third-named son Shelah. 1ch2. 3. 4. 21, 22. 3. The father of Judge Gideon. An Abiezrite of the Otextoe Acute Miritra Longo, Job, Book of 81. The latter was outlawed by Saul, son of Shammah the Gibeonite. 1ch12. 1-3. 5. A chief appointed by King David to oversee the oil supplies. 1ch27. 28, 31. 6. One of those into whose custody the faithful prophet Micaiah was committed for imprisonment by Ahab. He is designated the king's son. 1-22. 26, 27. 2ch18. 25, 26. This expression may refer to an offspring of King Ahab, or it could denote an official of royal descent, or someone else closely connected with the royal household. 7. Shortened form of Jehoash, king of Judah and son of Ahaziah. 2k11. 2, 3, 21. Josh as in alternate spelling for Jehoash occurs many times in the Masoretic Hebrew text, as is pointed out in footnotes of the New World Translation. 2k12. 19. 1ch3. 11. 2ch24. 1, 2. See Jehoash number 1. 8. Shortened form of Jehoash, king of Israel, son of Jehoahaz and grandson of Jehu. 2k14. 1, 8, 9. This alternate spelling Josh often occurs in the Masoretic text. 2k13. 9, 12, 13. 2ch25. 17, 18, 21. Ho 1. 1. Am 1. 1. See Jehoash no. 2. Job object of hostility. A man living in the land of Uz, in what is now Arabia. Job 1. 1 God said concerning Job. There is no one like him in the earth, a man blameless and upright, fearing God and turning aside from bad. Job 1. 8. This would indicate that Job lived in Uz at about the time that his distant cousins, the 12 tribes of Israel, were in slavery down in the land of Egypt. By then Joseph the son of Jacob Israel had died 1657 BCE after he had endured much unjust suffering, but had kept his blamelessness toward Jehovah God. Moses had not yet risen up as Jehovah's prophet to lead the 12 tribes of Israel out of Egyptian slavery. Between Joseph's death and the time when Moses by his conduct showed himself to be blameless and upright, there was no human with integrity like Job's. It was likely during this period that the conversations involving Job took place between Jehovah and Satan. Job 1. 6-12. 2. 1-7. Moses is generally credited with writing the account of Job's experiences. He could have known about Job when he spent 40 years in Midian and may have heard of Job's final outcome and death when Israel was near Uz toward the end of its wilderness journey. If Moses completed the book of Job about the time of Israel's entry into the Promised Land in 1473 BCE, probably not long after Job's death, this would place the time of Job's trial about 1613 BCE, for Job lived 140 years after his trial was over. Job 42. 16, 17. Job was a relative of Abraham, both being descendants of Shem. Though not an Israelite, Job was a worshipper of Jehovah. He was the greatest of all the Orientals, possessing great wealth. His family consisted of his wife, 7 sons, and 3 daughters. Job 1. 1-3 He conscientiously performed duties as a priest for his family, offering sacrifices to God in their behalf. Job 1. 4-5 Job was a figure of importance in the gate of the city, even aged men and princes giving him respect. Job 29. 5-11 He sat as an impartial judge, executing justice as a champion of the widow, and was like a father to the fatherless boy, the afflicted, and those who had no help. Job 29. 12-17 He kept himself clean from immorality, greedy materialism, and idolatry, and he was generous to the poor and needy. Job 31. 9-28 Job's integrity. Job's integrity to Jehovah was challenged by Satan. Then Jehovah, with confidence in that integrity and knowing his own ability to recover and reward Job, permitted Satan to test Job's integrity to the limit, but he did not allow Satan to kill Job. Although Satan, through various means, took away first Job's livestock and servants and then his children. Job 1. 13-19 Job never charged God with folly or wrongdoing. Neither did he turn away from God, even when pressure was brought upon him by his own wife and by others. Job 1. 20-22 2. 9-10 He spoke the truth about God. Job 42. 8 He accepted o text oil acute miritra longo. Job, Book of 82 originally written in Hebrew. The many similarities to the Pentateuch in the prose portion of the book tend to point to Moses as the writer. During his 40-year stay in Midian, Moses could have had access to the facts about Job's trial, and he likely learned of the outcome of Job's life when Israel came near Uz on the way to the Promised Land, in 1473 BCE arrangement. The Book of Job is unique in that it consists largely of a debate between a true servant of Jehovah God and 3 others who claimed to serve God but were in doctrine in their attempts to correct Job. Job, they mistakenly thought, was being punished by God for some grievous hidden sin. Thus, arguing on this basis, they actually became Job's persecutors. Job 19. 1-5-22 The debate consists of a series of 3 rounds of speeches, in which all 4 speakers participate, except that Zophar does not speak in the last round, having been silenced by Job's argument. Thereafter all are corrected by Jehovah's spokesman Elihu, and finally by God himself. It is clear, therefore, that one has to bear in mind when reading or quoting from the book that the arguments presented by Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar are erroneous. At times these 3 companions of Job state true facts, but in a setting and with an application that is wrong. Satan used this tactic against Jesus Christ when he took him along into the holy city, and he stationed him upon the battlement of the temple and said to him, "If you are a son of God, hurl yourself down. For it is written, He will give His angels a charge concerning you, and they will carry you on their hands, that you may at no time strike your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him, "Again it is written, you must not put Jehovah your God to the test." Mount 4. 5-7 The companions of Job said that God punishes the wicked. This is true. 2 Pe 2. 9 But they can keep account of Job's experiences when Satan challenged his integrity before Jehovah, likely recorded by Moses during Israel's wandering in the wilderness. Although the trial of Job must have occurred some years before Moses' birth, Job's prosperity and well-being, and when Jehovah grants Satan permission to test Job 1. 2. 10 Satan claims that Job's uprightness is motivated simply by self-interest. Job loses cattle, flocks, and his 10 children all in one day, but he keeps integrity. He is then afflicted with a loathsome, painful disease but refuses to curse God. Thus, Job remains faithful. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, 3 companions of Job, come together by appointment to sympathize with him too. 11. 3. 26 They sit around him in silence for 7 days. Job breaks the silence, cursing the day of his birth. He wonders why God allows him to go on living. The 3 so-called comforters debate at length with Job 4. 31. 40 They contend that he is suffering because of his sins, arguing that Job must be in the wrong since God is treating him as an enemy. They try to persuade Job of this by resorting to false reasoning and slander, and by appealing to tradition and visions they claim to have seen. The three companions urge Job to confess his wrongdoing and change his ways. Then, they say, he will regain his former prosperity. Job insists that he is upright. He does not understand why Jehovah allows him to suffer, but he silences the false counsel of his three companions in his final words. Job contrasts his former days as a respected elder with his present period of affliction and humiliation. He points out how careful he has been to avoid a sin. Elihu, a young bystander, corrects Job and his companions. 32. 1. 37. 24. He shows that Job was in the wrong when he justified himself rather than God, and he upbraids Job's three companions for failing to answer Job correctly. Elihu upholds Jehovah's justice, impartiality, glory, and almightiness. O textoi acute miritra longo. Job, Book of 83 concluded that all suffering a person undergoes is a result of sins on his part. That God is thereby administering punishment to him. Suffering, they said, is an evidence that an individual has specially sinned. They spoke untruthfully concerning God. Job 42. 7. They slandered him. As they presented God, he was lacking in mercy. Their claim was that God has no delight in the integrity-keeping man, and that he has no trust in his servants, even in angels. This denies the many scriptural statements revealing Jehovah's love for his intelligent servants. An example of God's confidence and trust in his faithful worshippers is seen in his conversations with Satan, in which he called attention to Job and expressed the greatest confidence in Job's loyalty when giving the devil permission to test Job. Note, however, that he protected Job's life. Job 2. 6. The Christian writer James says of God's dealings with Job, Jehovah is very tender in affection and merciful. Job 5. 11. Importance. The Book of Job is essential, in conjunction with Genesis 3. 1-6 and other scriptures, in revealing the great issue of the righteousness of God and his exercise of sovereignty, as well as the manner in which the integrity of God's earthly servants is involved in the issue. This issue Job did not understand, but he, nevertheless, did not allow his three companions to make him doubt that he has been a man of integrity. Job 27. 5. He did not understand why his calamity came upon him, since he was no practicer of sin. He was off balance on the matter of self-justification, no doubt being pushed farther in that direction by the constant charges of his three companions. He was also mistaken in insisting on receiving an answer from God as to why he was suffering, when he should have realized that no one can rightly say to Jehovah, "Why did you make me this way?" Row 9. 20. Nevertheless, Jehovah mercifully answered Job, both through his servant Elihu and by speaking to Job from the windstorm. The Book of Job. Point of comparison. Other Bible references. 3. 17-19. The dead know not anything, but are as those asleep. EC 9. 5, 10. Job 11. 11-14. 1 Cor 15. 20, 10. For God does not judge from man's viewpoint. 1 Cor 16. 7, 10. 8, 9, 11, 12. God's great care in forming man. PS 139. 13-16, 12. 23. God lets the nations grow powerful and even unite against him so that he can justly destroy them at one stroke. Re 17. 13, 14, 17, 14. 1-5. Man is born in sin and in bondage to death. PS 51. 5. Row 5. 12, 14. 13-15. Resurrection of the dead. 1 Cor 15. 21-23, 17. 9. The righteous one is not stumbled, no matter what others do. PS 119. 165, 19. 25. Jehovah's purpose to redeem, repurchase, release faithful mankind. Row 3. 24. 1 Cor 1. 30-21. 23-26. All men subject to the same eventuality. All are the same in death. EC 9.